Hello and welcome back and a Happy New Year. This is actually quite an appropriate reading, this part 6 of the Abramelin Journal, because it was actually written on the 1st of January 2011. So it's the happiest titled Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a great Christmas, Yuletide, Litho, whatever you celebrate. And let's just get into the reading, shall we? So just continuing with the Abramelin Journal that I wrote years ago. Let's have a look. Yes, as I mentioned, written on the 1st of January 2011. That's 1111. Interesting. And a new year begins. This one will be full of uplifting and great success for everyone. Okay, well, this was a long time ago. Last night I finished the last day of speaking to my Nefesh in the mirror. So now we move on to allowing my Nefesh to speak to me in my dreams. I have never been one to remember dreams, so although I will be keeping a pen and paper next to my bed, I'm a little concerned the results will not be as good as I would like them to be, but we will see. I will also continue to do the journeys to the temple. Then there's some posts back and forth. I'm not going to mention the person's name because of privacy, obviously. I'm just going to call her S. These were comments, I think, on a WordPress blog that I had. Must have been. Okay, so comment from S, posted on the WP blog, January 4th, 2011. You can always implant triggers to help you remember your dreams, either upon falling asleep, recite something to the effect of, I will remember my dreams in full upon waking, until they are transferred to my journal. Or put a trigger in your dreams, a golden urn, a silver mirror, etc. That means you will remember this dream completely upon waking. My reply, posted January 5, 2011. I have tried that in the past and tried it last night again. It has not been very effective, although I will say this, I woke up at 4 this morning to go to the toilet, as you do at 4 in the morning, and on my way there or coming back, I had a split-second flash of a dream. Whether it was a memory or an actual slip into a dream state for a split second, I'm not sure. It was of me as a priest. I am intrigued about the trigger within the dream though. I know of using a trigger to awaken within a dream, but how would it be used for recall? S, posted 2011, January 6th. Similar theory as to awaken within a dream. It implants the signal, so to speak, to remember and transmit the dream to the conscious state in the dream state, as opposed to trying to pull it through from the conscious state. Sort of the difference between sending out a message and putting out a call for all entries. It works best if you can have a physical receiver on the conscious end. That could be a matching object, a specific cyan, a person, etc. Often a strong link between the dream object and the conscious object helps establish a link more quickly. Me, posted January 6, 2011. So to create the trigger, one would just choose an object and then during the day look at it for a minute or two and ask if it is in a dream or not. Eventually you would see it in the dream and then can use it to connect to the dream memory once you are awake. Question, that was a question, sorry, didn't really phrase that properly. S, posted on 6th of January 2011. Yes, I would probably ask, what message are you holding for me, or what have you received from my dreams? I would give it a fair shake of about a month to get the connection to establish. I have had good success using this method for my students that just can't remember their dreams, even with journaling. This is actually very similar to, if you've read Carlos Castaneda books, I think it was Carlos Castaneda. It's basically a method where in order to lucid dream, there's a method where you actually use your hand. So throughout the day, you look at your hand and you just gaze at it, and then you just keep doing that multiple times during the day. And then what happens is during the dream, it becomes such a habit that during your dream state, you actually look at your hand, and all of a sudden fingers disappear, or new fingers appear, or your hand just morphs into something different. And then it's a trigger to say that you're in a dream state. So very helpful for lucid dreaming if you want to try that. Okay, then we move on to the second. That was a conversation that took place over that period, relating to the topic, obviously. So then we move on to the 2nd of January 2011. Surprise, surprise, I dreamt last night. Strangely enough, I went to bed very uncomfortable and couldn't get to sleep until after midnight. I had a big meal during the day, which accounts for the uncomfortable feeling. Usually I need perfect conditions, that is, comfortable bed, comfortable body, and comfortable temperature during the night in order to dream. But that was not the case last night. I recall having 3 very vivid dreams. We will see if this was not just a coincidence tonight and the nights following. The 4th of January 2011. Well, I have been dreaming every night thus far, although the last 2 nights have not been as vivid as my recall is terrible. I did have a song on my mind playing over and over this morning after waking up. Something's Gotten Hold of My Heart by Mark Almond and Gene Pitney. Possibly an indication that I am on a path with heart. You know those, they call them earwigs, I think. You have that song that's stuck in your head. It's actually often, I did speak previously about the contacting the Nefesh and the mirror example and using the pendulum and stuff, and then the Nefesh speaks to you in your dreams. What the Nefesh often does is it picks up a song and it actually puts it in your head. And then when you wake up, you've got this song playing over and over again in your head and you can't get rid of it. And that's usually a message from your Nefesh. Okay, so then again on the 4th of January 2011, this is entitled Oil of Abramelin Findings. I was doing some research on sacred plants, specifically cannabis, at the time and came across some very curious information. Firstly, a little background, and then we'll get to the curious part. Oil of Abramelin, which modern magicians use in ritual and ceremony to anoint, is derived from the holy oil of Tanakh. This holy oil, mentioned in Exodus, was only used to anoint holy men and kings, and by being anointed, made them Christs, the anointed ones. When Jesus came along, being the rebel he is, he decided to take the holy oil and anoint everyone who wanted to be anointed. He used it to heal, to drive out demons, and bring God to the people. This was against the law of the Hebrews, which stated that for someone to use on those which are not allowed it would set that person apart. Christ, his disciples and followers were indeed set apart, and Christianity was born out through the ages, with Gnosticism sticking to some more original material. Christianity means to be smeared or anointed with holy oil. I'm glad I'm reading this because I don't remember any of this. It's quite interesting. So what is this holy oil? Now for the curious part. In Exodus, we might find the ingredients to be myrrh, aromatic cane, cinnamon, cassia, and olive oil. But it is the aromatic cane that has created the most curiosity, as it is not translated properly. The Hebrew gives it as Kaneh-bos, with the M at the end of the word indicating a large quantity. So singularly, it would be Kaneh-bos. This word has been translated as being calamus, which sounds almost right. Where Crowley got galangal from, I don't know. However, it has been speculated that calamus is also a mistranslation. The correct translation for Kaneh-bos should actually be cannabis. Say Kaneh-bos fast 10 times, you'll understand why. What does this mean for Christianity? I hate to say it, folks, but it possibly means that Christianity was born out of a culture that used cannabis to reach divine and ecstatic heights of enlightenment. For a much more detailed explanation on the subject, read this extremely interesting article. If the link is still active, I will post it in the description below, and it will also be on my blog, on my site. By the way, if you've been trying to get into my site, for some reason the SSL certificate isn't working. I've renewed it this morning, but it's still not working, so just bear with me there. I'll get it fixed, don't worry. What time is it? 5:02, okay. So then we move on to the 7th of January 2011. Oops, too far, hang on, let me go back. Just to let you know, I have not abandoned the work. But each meditation and journey is not presenting anything new at this point, so here is nothing. So there is nothing to report. I am, however, dreaming quite vividly. There were 2 nights that didn't give me anything, although on one of those nights I woke up early, about 4 a.m, and had a flash of a dream image. Whether it was memory or I slipped into a dream state for a split second, I can't tell. It's obviously referring back to the conversation I had with S. Conflict and stepping stones. This is the 12th of January 2011. I am certainly having some conflict over concepts and capabilities. Firstly, I was reading an Abramelin ramble by Bill Heydrich again. The link was in part 2, if I remember correctly. According to what he states, I have already reached knowledge and conversation with my HGA. He states that once you recognize and realize the voice that has always been with you, but has just been unheard for so long, then you have K and C with your HGA. And in the sacred magic of Abramelin the Mage, it says, because your guardian angel is already about you, though invisible, and conduceth bloody hell, and conduceth and governeth your heart, so that you shall not err. This would indicate that I have reached this point. I may have taken a few years, and half the time I didn't know I was actually working to get there, but I am there. I have knowledge and conversation with my HGA. Unfortunately, I didn't take the formal route, and there is no way of tracking back 15 or more years of practice and study in the various arts to pinpoint what I actually did to get me here. I guess it is actually a large picture with many things happening, this just being one of them included in the big process. My conflict is that I am finding it very hard to accept this. As always, I feel there should be more, but I think I have it a little screwed up. I have reached that point. I need to accept that and move on with the next step. The problem here is I am a very logical person. I feel that stepping stones need to be stepped across correctly. First, you place your right foot on the first stone and then your left foot on the second, etc. However, magic is not like that. You may start out well, and then all of a sudden a few other stones present themselves which are not part of the logical pattern. The cosmos is not logical, and yet it is. The logical stones are there, but your path takes you to the other stones that seem illogical to you, but are in fact the correct next steps in a picture which is bigger than you are able to view with your limited vision. As time goes on, you start to see more, and your vision expands, but you often tend to come back to the old way of seeing. This is when you need to slap yourself and realize that you are moving in the right direction, and you have come to a certain point that you didn't think you could get taking a diverting path. Just accept it, for crying out loud, and move on. I have to tell myself that quite a lot. So it appears the next step begins in chapter 12. I will continue with my meditations and work as it has been laid out up until now, until the full moon on the 19th, and then commence with the final stages. I take it that was chapter 12 in the book of Abramelin. The process is as follows, summarized and some mix and match and own preference included. Last day. The oratory or temple, light the lamp, light the incense, begin to pray, include the orison that is included in the 12th chapter or one of your own making. Next, when finished, anoint forehead with oil of Abramelin. You may proceed to anoint the altar, tools and vestments depending on preference. And then finish with your normal prayers and meditations. Convocation of the good spirits. Upon rising, go straight to the oratory. I am choosing to do this naked. Place ashes from incense of previous day upon head, light the lamp and new incense. Place silver plates on altar. Prostrate yourself upon the ground and pray fervently. Once the splendor has arrived in the oratory, ask it to sign the silver plate. When splendor leaves, go to plate and copy what is there written. This is the seal to use when wishing to call the HGA. Leave the oratory with lamp burning. Prepare for the next day. Do not enter again. Then day of consecration. Go to oratory, naked, light lamp and incense. Prostrate face to the floor and pray for 2 or 3 hours. Return midday and pray for an hour, and again in the evening. The 3 days of the convocation of the good and holy spirits. Light the incense and the lamp. Render thanks to God and your HGA for the gifts given, and ask that they never abandon you. Also that you may have the force to constrain the spirits. Then your HGA should then appear before and speak with you. Remain in the oratory and converse with your HGA. Quit for a short time in the afternoon and then enter again. Take book and pen with to note down the instructions given. In the evening, say your prayers and then quit. Leave windows open and lamp lit. Instructions for the next 2 days are missing. All it states is, you shall return as on the preceding days unto your apartment, where you shall modestly recreate yourself and eat your necessary food. Then you shall go to rest until the following morning. I assume from this point forward you rely purely on the instructions given by the HGA. And then the 3 days of convocation of the evil spirits. Apart from what you are instructed to do by your HGA in this regard, the 3 days are for the following convocations. Day 1 for the 4 princes, Day 2 for the 8 sub-princes, and Day 3 for the spirits under the sub-princes. And I'm going to end this one here. That was instructional, so I get back into the actual journal part. So I'm going to end this one. I'll see you next Friday. Cheers.